Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Classic Quest podcast, where we go through the various classics of the hip-hop genre and see what we think, how they've aged, how they're dated, our impressions, our
if we
shocking.
think that they're actually classics.
And then sometimes they're really scary albums and stuff. And anyway, my name is HSR, and I mean, you can see what album. Who is this? Bonnie, introduce yourself.
Hi, I am your lady friend Bonnie.
Hey.
Sorry. Go ahead.
What up, guys? It's Chris Chrome.
All right, tell us what album we're doing here.
So for this week's Classic Quest, we decided
Big
to go
L.
with Big L's album, The Lifestylez of the Poor and Dangerous.
I can tell you that there are songs on this album that, like, nightmares and stuff will happen after. It was just a shocking experience.
Wow, that's what he intended.
I know, it was very fucking great. So when did y'all encounter Big L in your experiences in life?
Last week.
Actually, I've heard of Big L. A lot of my friends listen to him and have heard of him, and so I've been kind of just hearing the name around, but I've never really actually dived in to listen to what he's done. So as of last week as well.
Fair enough. I encountered the name as I started reading Wikipedia pages and came across him because he's one of the famous guys that died in hip hop, right? And there's all sorts of controversy surrounding how he died. It's a very fascinating tale. I'm not going to get into because I'm not qualified to talk about it.
Anyways, as it's standing, it's still unknown who killed him, but he had shots fired to his face.
Jesus.
And he died on February 15th, 1999, not far from, like, the street corner that he sings about, and it's, like, his hood.
Yeah, it was really sad because he's one of the most talented MCs I think we've come across thus far, and he goes, like, down in history like that. As far as I can tell, his reputation is incredible. It's like, imagine what hip-hop would have been if Big L had done more stuff in terms of just talent. Like, a guy like Eminem or Tech Nine or a lot of these other dudes were greatly inspired and influenced by Big L and how I've never heard a guy, like, at least in the 90s, so eloquent with this chopping and ridiculous technique and word plays and stuff. It was really, like...
And, like, the way he tells, like, his stories about, like, what's happening and, like, the situations and stuff like that. Like, you really kind of feel like you're there and, like, seeing what's going on and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
And I don't know, we can get into, I guess, the more specifics. But I guess from my experiences, I've listened to this album before, but I never really listened to the album because it's only like the last like couple of months of doing these reviews. I feel like I've started to unlock the Rosetta Stone of hip hop and hearing these albums.
You have to listen to the entire album?
Well, not just that, but when you hear the songs, like, it went from being like, oh, those are dope bars, oh, that's really clever, to, like, I'm honestly understanding the culture more the more that we're doing this. And so to hear why that guy is better than that guy, or what Raekwon's trying to do with Built for Cuban Links, which when we reviewed it, fucking way over my head.
Yeah.
But now I'm certain that if we reviewed it, our entire perspective on the album would be different. You may not even like it more or less.
I did not enjoy it.
The understanding of why it's great would be clearer. And so, I don't know. I didn't understand it.
But it is true.
Then.
I mean, like, there are songs that I gave, like, a lower rating and then kind of went back and, like, now I listen to them every day. Like, so...
Well, isn't that how it always kind of works with music? Like, sometimes when something's different or unique, you're kind of just like, I don't know how I feel, but once you really give it a listen...
And also, like, what's going on in your life and, like, how you're feeling and growing.
None of us have taken the time to study what hip-hop culture is about, why these albums are great, and we're just looking at great rappers of different eras, looking into the stories behind them a bit, and as a result, with every review, we understand hip-hop a little bit more. And I mean... ultimately, I guess the expectation is it's going to become clearer, and in our fifth year of this, we're going to be like those weird white hip-hop geeks that you see on that one Simpsons episode I watched, where they used Milhouse to play that role. I picture myself that in a few years. But I don't know, let's move on to, I guess, just this album, because I'm excited. Like, this is our 25th episode of Classic Quest, which is a landmark of it's a cool thing. It's like... halfway through a year, practically shy a week.
Yeah.
And that's 25 amazing fucking hip-hop albums to listen to, some requests. Anyway, I'm just kind of reveling in how much we've done over the last bit.
25 more albums that I probably would never have listened to.
Right? No, like the same thing. I don't think I would ever, if there wasn't requests to listen to these, or if it wasn't something that I guess I feel like I want to do
something
as well.
Something that you were drawn to already.
Right, something I was drawn to. It's like I wouldn't really go back and listen to these albums or even try to bother to go search for them and see what.
But like
what
some of them, like we know some of like the songs from them, or we've heard them along the way in our lives. But like never. We probably haven't sat and like fully like engrossed ourselves in like the lyrics and like understanding what everything meant and like trying to figure out what they're what's going on and delving a little bit deeper into things.
Mm-hmm. However, just on a side note, Big L is courteous enough to have given us the track Ebonics to translate it,
but later on.
Yeah, so it's not on this album, and
it was in 1998, I think.
I'll never forget one of the earliest comments we got was Jakes are cops.
Because I had said I didn't know what that was.
And, like,
I didn't know what Jakes were.
We completely misinterpreted the entire song because we thought Jake may have been a person as opposed to cops.
But now we know like what all these things mean.
You're listening to Ebonics. One of the lines is actually a Jake is a cop. And I'm like,
we should have listened to this at the very beginning.
So for the hell of it, I'll link it below so that you can bump that. So if you're like super ignorant to the hip hop culture per se, I would say listen to Ebonics before putting on this album, and it will give you a little bit of a cipher to some of the slang he's going to use on this album here. This Lifestylez of the poor and dangerous. It's like he deliberately slaughters the grammar.
Just to bother me, just because he knows.
Yes, he knows that you were specifically going to be bothered.
I hate when people just like misspell things.
No, but he does it on purpose. This is probably more. It's more.
But
on
it's
par
true.
With how he speaks,
and it's
but
like he talks about these kinds of things, and that a lot of people and teenagers are pressured by like what's going on in their environment, and like they leave school. So probably a lot of people don't have the best like education, and like that's just what he knows. Kind of how to spell. That's what he's figured out.
And then if you look at the cover, it's him, and then it's like the whole street
with like this dark crew behind him.
And then it actually has an advertisement for the album on the cover art where it's advertising like the greatest 90s sounds of whatever, something like that. And I was like, man.
And they're like right on those like the street corners that he's talking about, like 139th Avenue and Lenox Avenue.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just so cliche, but like he knows what he's doing. Like he's just trying to be as intelligent with it as possible. Like he's just not caring. He's just reflecting his reality without necessarily trying to be flamboyant. Right. As Damon likes to say, there's no brands or anything there, and the only thing he's trying to sell is himself. Right, and I think that's interesting.
And then, of course, with the parental advisory.
Well, he had to put that. It was just unavoidable.
Of course.
But I don't know. You guys wanna do this?
Yeah. Let's jump right into it.
Let's put it on.
Now put it on. Come on, put it on and on and on. Come on, put it on.
So my first note is. This is some classic ass banger ass shit right here.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Man.
It has like a great smooth beat.
Dun, 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 and like skips into itself. And then like Big L is just smooth, but he's also hard.
Yeah.
But he's also funny. But he's also technically proficient. But he's also chopping. But he's also slow.
Things all at once.
And it's just like, and he's funny. I don't often laugh at rappers, but when you hear
goofy.
that line,
he does get a little bit goofy.
I got the chicks that make that chick Toni Braxton look like Whoopi. It's like you can't help but bust a little chuckle inside because it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
But then in the same verse, I got 35 bodies, don't make it 36, and you're like,
he's not playing.
Whoa, that escalated very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, like I think he's being pretty honest. I mean that's him saying that he's killed 35 people. But like already, and like he's like kind of young at this point, I think. So
this was a cool way to start the album, though, putting on what he represents and what he's coming from and where he's from. I liked how he.
And it's like, I like the fact that it's clearly meant to be a bit more of a fun single song with the beat, right?
Yeah.
But he does it like DMX would do it later on in the future, and just makes it just grimy as fucking fuck through it. Like I'm loving it. Like, my guns go boom boom, your guns go pow pow.
So that's just implying that he's got a bigger, more powerful gun.
And you just picture like almost a comic book setting with like
Right,
the flags coming out
right.
of them and stuff. And I'm just like,
I guess.
and at the same time, you start to see his obsession with banging lots of ladies come to life, because there are certain prevalent themes on this album.
Yeah.
But really, the dude has the nonchalance of, let's say, Snoop Dogg, the emotional exposure of, say, Mobb Deep, in terms of how cold-hearted he is.
But like, he knows that he's like messed up.
Yeah.
Is spitting shit that sounds like Tech 9 would do it 10 years later, and Eminem would do it, and it's just like, this guy is everything. And
he just wants like sex and money and like just to be rich, and
so maybe he's not the most marketable for like the mainstream audience of 1995 at the time, everybody thing. But like, looking at it now, I'm like, there's so much in this one song that is like almost like so many ideas get thrown out. Just she's just so fucking real with it.
and like talks about like when he's killed cops, and and then he talks about that again like later on. But like, already you're like, shit, like this guy's like badass, like he's not playing.
And there's something we'll get to later on in the album, but there is some differences between the way Big L does it, and they're not so prevalent here.
Hold on, can I just say right from the very start, I looked up how large Big L really is, because he's not a big man like this way, but like in terms of like how tall he is, and he's only 1.773 meters, or 5'8". So he's not even that tall.
Listen, he's Big L, okay? It's personality and stature.
Maybe that's what it is. I'm just like wondering how he got that name.
I don't know. I think he's like, what's interesting about this track particularly, right? It's the first song on the album, and he comes from the streets, but you don't really hear him gloating about how he's selling drugs and all the specifics of the crimes that he does. It's always ambiguity.
He kind of goes back and forth a bit.
But that's part of the
he
whole...
like eludes that, yo, buddy, I've done some stuff. For real, I've done some stuff. Like, I don't actually think Big L has killed 35 people here. It's a line.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, he might have killed...
Throughout the album, there is different explanations on certain stories. But I feel like with this one, it's more or less just he's putting his city, like he's putting it on. He's putting his city on the track. He's representing where he comes from. So like he's alluding to certain actions. He's alluding to certain behaviors, but at the same time, he's just trying to represent what he goes through.
But maybe like the people who he's killed or whatever are like the people who he's
it could
beat.
Be rappers.
Bodying rappers.
In battles.
Right. I take it back, internet, for my ignorance. Sometimes Bonnie really is the OSG.
Yeah.
Coming.
But and I really love how he does it. Like, he doesn't go into specifics into a way where almost everyone else does. He's almost like even here, this track feels a little bit different than all the other ones that kind of sound like it, and it really stands out when you hear it. It's just skill and raw powers, and it's just, he blows your fucking mind out while keeping it fucking G.
And like, featured on this one, we forgot to mention, I think, was Kid Capri. Yeah. Because he does like the put it on, L, put it on, or whatever it is.
Whoever does the patois part in the middle that I don't know if it's L or Capri or who does that part.
I think it's Capri, but I'm not sure.
Because in the music video, it's some guy smoking a joint, so I don't know
whoever that fellow was.
That fellow person.
It's just like it's just this little lame '90s two-step. I don't mean like lame disrespectfully, but it's like some of these music videos are really kind of lazily done in terms of the artistic value. It's more about just putting your boys on the block and they just kind of get goofy.
I have a certain feel about that because I like how kind of lazy the music video was. It made you kind of just listen more to the music.
No. It's not that this music video is actually interesting because it starts at 9 a.m. every day or whatever. He's waking up.
And just like him constantly waking up, and it's
and
fuzzy.
Then it's going through things that happen throughout his days, the different scenes. But there was just that one little part with the patois in the middle where it did cut to like him showing his boys on the block and shit, and it was just like, okay. Okay.
Well, you know, give credit to his. Well, give credit to his squad. Give credit to his block. You know, he's supposed to make sure that.
I've never been a fan of rap videos from the '90s. They're just not my cup of tea for interesting.
There's like, oh yeah, I think he shouts out at the end like some like dead, some dead like guy friends that he knows and stuff like that. People from his crew back in the day. But it's a lot of like crew shouting out,
which is cool. But he does it in a good way. It isn't like he. Like puts it at the end of the song like gracefully so that like whatever if you want to skip or whatever it just plays out as the outro and it's just it fits like this it's like Lord Infamous or whatever putting it on and on if I get it wrong I don't care and then he just like whoever it is putting it on saying these are the guys I'm rolling with. I don't think they were dead people. I think they were all alive people that he was putting on and saying these are the guys representing my city, my hood, where I'm from, etc. Either way, this shit's a 5. Yeah, it's one of the best 5s I think we've encountered. There's virtually nothing wrong with this song. I mean, it is one of the most impressive pieces of banger-ass party singles that still make you feel like you could pull a gun out and cap a motherfucker you will ever find.
Yeah, it's a pretty good song. I also gave it a 5 on 5. It's a great start to the album.
Oh, me too. I also gave it a 5 on 5. I wanted to mention something earlier. I really like how he plays with the like with the phrases. He has he'll use inside rhymes and then he'll make them flip onto the outside rhymes as well, which is very creative. The way he places the sounds of the words throughout the verses, and it's just captivating to really hear it. And you're like, oh, you're back to there. Oh, you're back to there. It was really cool.
Look at you with your technical jargon.
I've been watching some deconstructions lately. Been trying to get my knowledge on, as people in the comments have been letting me know.
Fair enough. I always tell Chris to get more knowledgeable. It makes things a smoother transition for life.
Listen, I'm just trying to be an MVP, okay?
Ooh, yeah.
I'm coming straight out the NYC. I'm down with digging in the crates and I'm MVP.
Yo, this guy could actually be the most valuable poet on the MIC. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But before we talk about the song, internet people, you're really the brains of this operation is what I'm coming to see.
You guys really are.
And I gotta know why the music video has such a drastically different version of the song than the album version. And I didn't Google it yet. So it would be so cool if one of you could put it there. I mean, I'm probably going to Google it if you don't. But I like it when you guys tell it to me because you also throw in all this extra shit that I never would have found when I Google it alone.
We love it. We're learning so much from you guys. Thank you.
And so you guys are like the cheat sheet to making this a better show for you folks. So thank you so much for participating.
Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. The video was boring otherwise.
Yeah.
I like the added female vocal parts, etc. This song's really good. I like how it's just him slaying.
Well, it's just like him like talking and like bragging about being the best and like how he gets like all the girls.
But
and
you know what? I
different.
like how that's exactly it. It's not like a banger, braggy, king shit type track. He's very like smooth and melodic about it in a sense. And it's like he's just kind of just chilling there like, yo, this is why I'm the best. This is what I'm trying to say.
But he doesn't actually tell you anything.
Right.
Like he's the living.
Well, he tells you at one point that if you fuck with him, he will fuck not only you up, but he will fuck your mom and fuck your girl and like whatever and like
grandiose overkill type statements, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That falls under threat category. That's not stuff he's done. It's stuff he will do.
That's just like.
But everybody else has really gone on at length about what they've done or how they've come from. I mean, almost specifics. And it's like Big L makes it a point to take that real G's move in silence opportunity. And he lets you know that he's done just as much as, say, anybody on the Wu-Tang. But you don't know what. You know that he does stuff. And maybe later on in the album we get some stories of some of the specifics he'll do. But
well, I mean, even just from like the very first song, if what he's saying is true about killing 35 people right away, you know that
but you don't know why.
Yeah.
Look,
you don't really know what he's up to. It's not like he's like sitting there like I'm running the coke game or I'm a hitman or you don't know. You don't know how much money he has. You just know that he has money.
He's very ambiguous.
You don't know how many girls he's fucked, but you know that he can get more girls than you.
That is why I like him. That is one of the reasons why I really like Big L, because there's this mysterious vibe to him where he's kind of, it's not that he's so blanketly open with what he's saying, but he's kind of alluding to a lot of stuff, and you're just there like you want to know more.
And he uses like the craft of hip hop to both be mad poetic with it, to say a lot with very little, And to compound this complex structure of rhyming, that's impressive. Like, he doesn't stay the same. He makes sure to be very versatile with it. So he appeals to the guys who like tricky shit as much as the guys who like smooth shit. And like, honestly, it was very impressive. Again, this track for me. The beat did not do it quite as much for me because I feel
like it's a Shanti song, like whatever that thing that is covered, but we're debating on what that song is.
I don't know. According to Genius, it's a DeBarge song. And it was also used on the Biggie album. So
I feel like people have covered it before, but I wonder if his is the original version or not.
Well, I'm certain that it's a sample from back.
But from where?
Well, for sure, one of the fans and the viewers are going to let us know in the comments.
Google. This is Googleable shit, is all I'm trying to say.
Yes. I'll Google it after.
Either way, I give it a 4.5 because I felt like the music video version was actually a little bit better. It smoothed it out and made it a little more dynamic. But this album version, like that piano loop was a little bit overkill. And like by the end of the song, I didn't feel like it fit snugly. So 4.5 on 5.
Fair enough.
Everything else was perfect. It was great chorus, short punches you properly lays down, and it's clever. It's very relatable to anybody, and the song doesn't piss me off. It's just in your face dopeness.
Yep.
Yeah. I give it a 4 on 5. I thought it was good. For me, like it wasn't like the best one, like, you know, like as good as the last one. But I thought it was good. I mean, there was a strong message. You get to know like that his lyrics and like his poetry like are the best, and that he's not like messing around, that he's legit, that he's
but that it's
a
about
gangster,
the poetry and the craft of hip hop that makes him the best.
Yeah, I think
not
that's
that he's a
cool.
gangster. That's it. That's the mystery.
Because he lives by what he preaches.
Mm-hmm. But he's not rapping about what he lives. He's rapping about like he kind of alludes to it, but you can just tell
and
that
like sometimes he talks about was, so he says it like it's kind of in the past, like he's not really doing that anymore.
Oh, he gets to that on one of the songs he addresses that. And you, Chris?
Well, I actually gave this song a 4 on 5. I really like the song. I really like I said, I really like the smooth, mellow vibe to it, the melodic vibe. Although I did kind of feel like it was not the same as the last track, but it was a little bit I want to say dumbed down, but a little lowered down in a sense that it's not so much about the city anymore. It's just more about what he's doing, and I know that it's relating to the rap.
He does talk about like New York City,
right? Yeah, he does bring it up. But I feel like it's just more about him directly. Although I did like, I didn't mention this on the last track, but I feel a little bit of Nas in how he writes and how he sounds and flows. And that was very interesting to me. I was like, off the bat, I was like, yeah, I can hear New York, I can hear Nas, I can hear
that like mid-90s gritty, like what was going on in the world,
well,
like feeling.
I have to say, I kind of like this better than a lot of the Nas stuff. I don't know. Like,
is it the technique and the flow wise? Like the
I
fact
feel
that he
like I
chops
like
up and
Big
stuff?
L more than I like Nas. I don't know that I like this more than I like Illmatic, but Nas has a whole lot of other stuff on his career.
Right.
But this is like there's more here.
Good.
It's more. I feel like
it's dark, but it's also like
Illmatic is
at
like
the same time
packed with like denseness in one direction, and this is a whole different direction. But I like this direction better.
Fair enough.
But anyway, no Endz, no Skinz, and you know what they say: not my chair, not my problem.
That was the worst.
Slut, if you got dough, you get a hole with a fat butt with fresh hair, long hair, and a cute.
Again, this song sounds like other songs that we have reviewed. I was particularly thinking of when Ice Cube goes on about women and how they're all gold diggers and shit.
Yep.
But it's
I ain't the
again
one.
different, because it starts off kind of sounding petty, but then if you really listen to what Big L is trying to communicate with this song, it's a general sense of frustration that he can't find girls that value his intelligence or value him as a person, and it just feels like everybody's a gold digger after his money. And it's not really like the same. It's not a hatred towards women. It's like, I just want a girl who thinks I'm a smart and good poet, and not somebody who wants my Mercedes Benz that I just happen to have.
You know what I got from this? I feel like Big L was trying to make a connection between that you have the same type of, and I'm not trying to go like this, but you have the same type of women activity when you're rich and when you're not rich. It's just they're not labeled the same. when you have money, you have a certain type of female that's coming after you for certain reasons. But when you don't have money, you have same intentions, but just a different type.
That's the obvious message of this. It's if women are all gold diggers is like the top level of it.
Right.
But there's a whole lot of little lines in the middle that just tell you that this isn't what Big L's about, and he's generally frustrated.
Well, he clearly says he doesn't mess with gold diggers.
Well, it's more than that. There's lines like, that's why you can't just talk to any whore. Now, in his head, I mean, sure, it comes off kind of callous, but to me, I hear something like that, and he's like, I'm so hesitant, and I'm not willing to trust any women because so many of these women are just trying to use me because I roll up with my nice watch and my big car, so they're like, oh, I got money. But then on the flip side, when you're poor, he gives examples of the other side,
because after women have taken all of your money, then they leave you behind poor,
in the first verse,
and then you can't get girls anymore because nobody wants a poor guy.
Which is what happens at the end of it, but in the beginning of the song, he also alludes to some shit like if you're poor, you basically get sluts and girls that use you for little moments here, and you can't even get a girl that you can call your own until you're rich, and then when you're rich, you get this girl, and this happens to you. And his whole idea, though, is that he says no one values intelligence in the song. He talks about his poetry in the song, and it's kind of like he's trying to just be like, I hate this situation, and I want a woman I can just love who isn't with me for my money and shit.
Aw, Big L.
And I took that from this song because there was a lot of little cues, and it's those little subtle twists that to me are that's the difference between, I guess, this song written by Big L and most of the other versions that are a lot harder to justify as not being misogynistic. This is not misogynistic. This is calling a gold digger a gold digger.
I think that's why. I think the reason why it's so acceptable to feel that way with this is because of the fact that he tackles both sides. I feel like when I think back to the Ice Cube, when you referenced it, when I think back to the Ice Cube song, he was really just going after women who were using him for his money. Yeah. He never really spoke about the women when he was poor, as far as I remember. Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure it was in the same view of all women only want you if you have money. And that's the dope man is rich and
right.
And then that's why he messes around and switches up his car and says that he's got some big shot car and then shows up in
Ice Cube was playing it I'm gonna be a cheap ass motherfucker using women. He just wants
to prove that to the women that he knows that they're gold diggers. Big L
is wow, I'm so fucking smart and nobody wants to see that. So it's just different, and I kind of feel like Big L's almost got this honest insecurity to it. I don't know. I love this track. And the chorus. The chorus is so fun. It is so, just immature and juvenile to balance such a really complex, otherwise vicious song.
Yeah.
I gave this a 5. I was blowing out of the fucking water. Nice. I mean, the music video is useless. I have nothing to comment on it. He just looks kind of taller than he is if you said he's 5'9" in every shot. So that's
5'8".
Cool. Well, he's very lanky.
I did see a lot of. He does wear a lot of big.
There's a lot
clothing.
of up shots, I guess. So
he's 5'9".
Well, I saw 1.73 meters.
Oh, you're right. 5'8". I apologize. I was wrong. I'm only 1.7 meters, so you know what it is. I guess I can call myself kind of big age.
Yeah.
But Ronnie, how did you feel?
5.
I gave this one a 3.5. I liked it. I thought it was catchy. But that was about it. It sounded to me and I feel like I kind of get this in a few of the songs along the album, and that's kind of what gives it part of that gritty feeling that you have for the whole album, was that it sounds like it was recorded quickly, and maybe not on the best stuff, So it's it shows that he can make something great out of something that's. That has to be done quickly, saying. If you know what I mean. I
didn't even notice.
That's just what I kind of felt from this.
Okay.
Or maybe it was just it's still the mid 90s, so shit's not necessarily top tier.
Yeah, but I mean, also true. I mean, how much money do these guys have at this moment? When they're recording this, before they get rich.
I don't think it's about just as much money. I think it's just in general, when you have money, this shit happens.
I know. I mean, I think that in 1995, that a lot of hip hop in most smaller studios would have had that Grammy feel to it. It was more of the normal sound of the street side of rap.
Yeah. And maybe that's also why it does kind of sound like Nas. Maybe they were recording at the same place, or it was just the equipment at the time, or whatever they could afford. So
Fair enough. And meanwhile, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really good track. It's just honestly something I wouldn't really bump to every day. I feel like you have to kind of be in like this mood to kind of listen to this song because it is kind of going after women. So I don't know. I wouldn't really put it on a random morning and just, all right, this is my feel for the day. You know what I mean?
I don't really feel like it's going after women. I feel like it's expressing his experiences with
Fair enough.
If you have
Fair enough. Absolutely.
You want the truth, dude? It's not women. It's people. If you have money, people will treat you different.
Okay.
If you don't have money, they won't. It's a universal message. Sir.
If you're rich, you'll get laid. If you're poor, you won't.
And it's okay.
That's what he's trying to
even
say.
forget about get laid. If you're rich, everyone's your best friend, and everyone will do anything for you.
Yeah.
Is what he's trying to say. Just to make it not sexist and to translate the core message to all the SJWs out there, for fuck's sake. Listen, 8 is enough.
You're telling me.
And when I talk, every verb is rough. Front on this and get beat bad with big bats that bruise, break bones.
So apparently Bonnie and I have the same strategy for reviewing this song. So why don't you take it away?
Okay, let's see like if we got about the same sort of thing. So on this album, it's called 8 is Enough because there are 8 crew members featured on this album, and they're all from
handpicked by Big L himself.
chosen. Oh yes, and he's from Harlem, so
Yes.
they're all from like there. So verse 1, we've got
Terra.
Big L.
Oh yeah, Big L. Shh, I forgot. I forgot. That was the first feature guy. So Big L.
So the first one is about how like badass he is, and how he'll like smoke any one of you, and like I don't know if he's referring again to like actually physically killing you or just beating your ass in a battle, like killing you in a battle.
I think it's both.
It's
Or
a
if
double
it is both.
entendre.
I think
That's all
it
it
depends
is.
on how you come at him.
And like, but then that's exactly what he says. Actually, he says, "You better know he's no joke," which could be, as usual, another Eric B and Rakim, reference. Yeah, and then he's no joke, and that New York rappers are the best, and that like he's hotter than Cali, which is probably like a bit of like a stab at Cali right now.
And his speed is incredible. His technique and rhythm are like literally, like he goes out of his way to try a little bit harder because I think he knows he got 7 more to follow him.
Right.
And it was really impressive. Like he packed so many words
Makes me
in.
work a little bit harder.
And you, how did you feel about Big L?
I thought Big L's verse was really cool. Actually, I kind of graded it differently.
Okay, then we'll get to you after.
Yeah.
All right, Bonnie, your turn.
Okay, so verse 2, we've got Terra.
Sounds fucking sick, and he's proper.
Yeah, so he's a lot more peaceful. He talks about kind of how he gave up the crime for the rhyme, and that he's more about just doing that. Okay, so then anybody else have anything more to say on Terra?
Sick. Actually stands up next to Big L in a way where he could be a proper like next to him. And anyway, then Irby Mgruff.
Yep, Herb. I think it's just Herb.
Yeah, I know. I was saying Irby.
Herb Mgruff. Just general badassness.
A little less good, still fun.
Okay. Verse 4, we've got Buddah Bless, and
I can do without him.
he just talks about how he's badass and loves the ladies.
He kind of just breaks up the flow of the song a bit, and like maybe he's good in like general, but I feel like on this song so far we've had a pretty dope, consistent flow going that's been hype, and then this guy shows up and it's just not as good. I could do without it personally.
Okay, verse 5, we've got Big Twan.
Oh man, his deep voice was super well placed on this track to make a different like sound, but he, unlike the last dude, really brought it back off for me, and I was quite enjoying Big Twan.
Yeah, he kills people with rhymes, and I liked that there was like, you weren't really sure again, like if he was talking about like actually physically killing you or killing you at battles, because there was a lot of gun references and like gun metaphors
You
and
gotta
like hidden
consider
messages.
that the steel of the mic is really no different than a 9.
But either way, it's like, they're talking truth, from what they know. Okay,
fucking
so
Cameron,
Cameron.
like Cameron, like
or Kill a Cam.
boy. Like that did like I like Cameron, don't get me wrong. It was just baffling to come across his name on this track because I wasn't expecting it, because he sounds like young, and it was really good. I liked it. Grimy, ill, and his verse almost sounded like what you were describing with the lower end of recording. Like he almost deliberately slurred to make it even more vicious compared to the other dudes. Very impressive.
For him, like I got out of it that he was like a legit badass. He talks about how having killed 20 cops, and that like him and his crew are like the
Doesn't
reason.
he do Hey Ma?
I don't know. But like the fact that like him and his crew like destroy any piece that was like made.
Yeah.
Okay, and then verse 7, we have Trooper J, who I feel like we have come across before.
But he's pretty sick. That was my note.
And that he kills gay people. So I don't know why they do that a lot in this album. There's a few things that they talk about
That's
that.
a very large conversation.
That's a no in my mind. You don't just do that. And then he maybe is the because he's definitely like I think Haitian or something like that, and he talks about the Batty Boy dead, and like that's what he refers to, and like that's I think
yeah, Sabati Boy is a gay person.
Yeah, but in what language?
Patois, like
it is
Jamaican
Patois.
Patois.
Oh, okay, maybe it is. Never
I mean,
mind.
maybe
My
it's
bad.
more
I'm
than
sorry
that.
if I don't mean to be like.
I know the song. I went to a high school that exposed me to a bunch of words.
Okay.
Well, that's what school does, Holden.
Different types of words, I
like
guess.
Chichiman.
Okay. I don't know. Anyways, verse 8, we have Mike Boogie. And he's all about poetry and words rather than violence.
His verse was longer.
Yeah, I think so. It was good, though.
And then Big L does the outro.
Yes, of course. And then he just shouts out more crew members. And
Like
like
the
from
guys
like
who
and
couldn't
other
be
guys
there,
who were, like his friends from Harlem and stuff.
4 on 5. Why? Because most of the dudes on this track hold it down. And for a Bring Everybody from the Hood track on the album, we've seen some examples that are really shit or that are kind of boring. Or like the guys are almost a tier down. And the one criticism I can say is even if I didn't like the particular rapper, every one of these dudes was a talented MC that actually could stand next to Big L rapping, even if I could do without them. 4 on 5.
Fair enough.
Wow. I give it a 3.5 on 5. I mean, it was good. It was long. For me, it like didn't stand out. For me, 8 was too many. When I like realized that that's what was happening and that was like I like was like wait, there's 8 fucking verses on here, and like I scrolled down and I was like, are you kidding me? And like and I was like okay, and I was, but they weren't too long, most of them, so I went into it and was like, all right, let's do this, let's see what everybody's got to say. And it's a lot of the same kind of stuff, but it's cool that like they keep you for the most part a little bit like they are badass, but they are like
song for how
poetic.
It goes with it. Mm-hmm. It fits.
Yeah.
I actually really, really like the song. I didn't grade it the same way you guys did. I took it more as a whole. Everybody stands up to each other in their own specific way. They have their own flair. Mm-hmm. I actually really liked Herb. I liked his slow, deeper voice. Yeah. It gave me a little break, which is why I didn't feel the song was so long.
So far, we're grading this identically.
And I gave it a 5 on 5. Like, that's...
We just disagreed on the number. But all of your comments and your differences turned out to be just what we said.
I know. I just didn't go person by person. That was all.
We just wanted to talk about and say that we made the effort to go through all 8 of these dudes. It was cool. I could say that most of these guys, I would actually be curious to go hear more of their shit. And one day when that list of people I have to listen to is less than like hundreds, maybe I'll get to it. But this is amazing to find how...
One at a time.
It's like when you scratch the tip off the iceberg and realize that back in the day, like, yo, there's no good rap. And you're like, oh, I was fucking wrong.
There's so much of it.
And I can tell you one thing, though. It's totally fun to be dressed all black.
That's true.
Not in the sun.
In all black, I still laughs like a stone thief, so leave me alone, chief.
I get the feeling that Big L wants us to know that he is a fucking evil motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Savage.
There's like 2 references, and I get that it was like still like maybe like a thing like at the time about like AIDS. And like one where he talks about in like the first verse about like if he's got AIDS, then every cutie in the city must have it. Implying that he's like banged all these girls. And then in verse 3 he talks about the fact that if he were to get AIDS, that he would, give me 1 second here, and if I catch AIDS, then I must start raping bitches. what the fuck, Big L?
Well, that's kind of the point, I think.
He's like,
So
what? No, you don't do
I
that.
understand, and I don't think that Big L is actually going
Like
to
that's
go out
how
there.
like he doesn't give a fuck about
But
anybody.
That's the point. This song's a warning shot to like everybody to not fuck with him, right?
Yeah.
And
Like even if he knows he's got AIDS, can he be like, whatever? He's like, I don't wear condoms.
he has
He's
such
like,
a
I'm still gonna
blatant
fuck you.
disregard for life. One of the things you'll notice
I'm
on
gonna
this
force
album
this on you.
that is very absent is God.
Yeah.
Big L has no moral convictions here.
Well, he talks a lot about being like.
The devil's son.
That comes
Yeah.
a bit later
Yeah.
on. But in general, it's worth noting that when he's describing all of this, it's not like he feels evil about it. He feels almost jaded. Like, this is just a regular thing to him. He is coming from a place that has made him so fucked up that he is willing to do virtually anything. And he is just thinking of the worst shit he can think of to make the warning that elaborate. It's kind of like how like the Yasuka and shit would chop people up with swords. There's more efficient ways to kill people, but they would do it to
guess.
really like drive
The bravado.
home
Right.
the point that like this is us. We are that fucking crazy.
And like if you fuck with him, like you're gonna fuck with his crew, and then like the all black implies that you know like everybody will be like if you fuck with them, then you know your family's gonna be wearing all black,
At the
implying
funeral,
that you know that there's gonna be a funeral because you're gonna
And-
be dead. But
and-
like, does it also maybe imply like that this is like a situation going on?
No, it's
That's
full on.
all
If you
black
fuck with me,
people.
your entire family's going to be wearing black because you're
Well,
dead at a funeral.
When I saw the title, my first thought was you wear all black when you commit crimes, and then he drops the pun. I think it's just kind of open ended.
Like I think that there's several things that it could imply for sure.
And I really enjoyed it. I'd say it's a 4. I mean, there's a couple of lines that are, I guess, hard to listen to in 2017
He's really crazy.
like this now, but I respect and admire it still. In a way where a while back I might have been like, this is kind of whack. But no, I get it a little more. He is trying to paint himself as the villain. It's just I don't want to be the villain myself, so I don't have that empathy between what he's trying to accomplish, but I can still respect and admire the talent behind it. He still raps over this eerie shit in a good way. 4 on 5. It's not my favorite, but it's still really good.
Yeah, I also gave it a 4 on 5. I mean, it is what it is. He's fucking crazy. But like he's still so good. So, and like you know that he's talking about like how like this like used to be, I think, you know, like I don't know if he's still like this, but anyways, I hope that he's not, or I mean obviously he's not now, but like when he was writing this,
I think it was again just a matter of
it's just like final warnings.
but it's the duplicity between the extreme shit he'll do versus how skilled he is as an MC. So as you were saying before, it's comparable to the idea of saying he's going to kill somebody, meaning he's going to end your career.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a code for how hip-hop is manifesting in these streets.
And he shouts out like more of his crew at the end, like the NFL crew, which I thought was funny because my first thought was, no, the NHL? NFL. Yeah, NFL was the National Football League, so
Yeah.
Nice.
But it
not
was
what
some
I,
rap
but then
crew.
I did know what it actually meant.
But you, Chris?
I actually really like the song in terms of what he's trying to portray, what he's trying to get across. The little reference of wearing all black at the funeral is really cool. I didn't actually think of another way of thinking, the wearing the all black. But then when you guys brought it up, like wearing like black clothes or all stuff like that, I was like, you know, if he does like kill your family or kill somebody, you know, maybe you're gonna be wearing all black to come after him or like.
But for me, like I took it like when I first saw the title, like I thought it was kind of like all black, like him and his people.
Well, there was
Like-
the clear line that he drops about the funerals. Either way.
Right.
I like that it's gotten us to talk about all this stuff. I think Big L would have been quite pleased that a bunch of people up in Canada are discussing his music today.
Nice.
Yeah.
But with all that, I did give this a 4 on 5. It's a little dark, realistically, to listen to in 2017, like Holden was saying. Other than that,
It's really the rape lines.
Yeah,
I have
I mean-
trouble with those.
Well, raping someone knowing that you have AIDS.
Yeah, it's just extreme.
like that's just like the icing on the cake on
it's
top
like a-
of like if you can compare that to anything. It's just
it's
extra
like
awful.
an invitation to the fucking danger zone.
No man can withstand the whole zone. I got styles you can't copy, bitch.
I feel like this song is an extension of the last song, only being like, this is where I come from.
well, it's not just like where I come from, but I think he's really trying to paint the picture to like not just warn everyone indirectly to fuck with him, but more indirectly to be like, look, if you don't know anybody here, you're getting robbed. You're getting this.
The very beginning is like a part of a speech or something from Malcolm X, and it's like talking about like the struggles and like the dangers of like being in Harlem and like the life that it is at that moment, and well, I guess at the moment that he was talking about it. So, you know, it just goes to show that, you know, like this shit wasn't changing, and like, you know, it's still real.
And it was extreme. He
talks about when he killed people,
the devil in his mind,
that he's the Antichrist.
Well,
and it's like it's clearly like the difference between him and others again is how little disregard he has for human life, his own, others, anyone's.
But, hold on, I don't think it's so much his disregard. Like when I was reading the lyrics and I was listening to the song, I got this like feeling where it's like, the reason why he's explaining this, the way his city works and how Harlem is and how people do it in Harlem, is because he's been through the same shit. So it's kind of like, it's two-sided. It's like, one, this is a warning. If you come here and we don't know you, I'm robbing you and I'm stabbing you or whatever I got to do. Two, it's more like, it's the warning. Don't come to Harlem
and, like,
if you're not safe.
And he clearly states where he's from, 139th and Lenox Ave. So he clearly says, like, this is where I'm going to be at.
Right.
If you come here, we will fuck you up.
But, like, in
and,
general,
like, this is your warning.
He's willing to do anything to back that up. And, like, I do not feel that he has a regard for human life in this song. I feel like...
Well, no, he talks about, like, he doesn't care. He'll beat women. And, like,
well,
he doesn't...
Like, he goes out of his way to say
nightmares.
Some of the most shocking shit you're going to hear on purpose. Like, you listen to this and you're like, man, that is just... Like, I wouldn't rap along with this song. I don't think I could. I think this is the line. I have found it. Danger Zone by Big L. I can't say it. And but I still respect him.
And we have another AIDS line. It's the, I never wear rubbers, bitch. If I get AIDS, fuck it.
And that's the thing.
So,
it's like, that's like practically like a self-destructive suicide mission of his life is so valueless because of his environment, this danger zone, that he will do what he must just to have the nice things and shit. I don't know. I fucking give it a 4.5 on 5. I liked it more than All Black because it really just showed a dark part of the psyche that we don't get to see very often.
I guess.
Nice.
I gave it a 3.5 on 5. It was okay. Sorry. It was okay. It was badass. I mean, very badass. Like, he talks about, you know, he just has body parts in his fridge. Like, why? You know,
because he likes horror movies.
Well, I know, but it's so creepy. I'm like, I don't know. For me, it was too much. There's a lot of
impressively creepy.
Yeah.
It was creepy enough to give me the feeling you're supposed to get from a horror movie. To me, that's impressive as fuck.
I guess.
Well, I gave this a 4 on 5. It's really, really cool. I like how he depicts the images and how he presents him and how he just doesn't give a fuck. But again, I don't think I'd be bumping this either in public or be able to enjoy this at any time without singing along to it.
Don't sing along to it in public.
Like, that's the thing. Like, like for me to bump it, like, I'm gonna sing along to it, and I can't sing along to it without wondering if somebody's gonna.
What we're learning is that Chris's next level of music appreciation is to listen to the music without singing along. And
if he were to do that,
good movies, and then he would, as you were gonna say, he would no longer be
street struck.
Yeah.
Street stuck.
Easy green, cause that's all they show you on a TV screen. All they care about is a buck.
This is another great example of how Big L could take what could be called a classic hip-hop song, the Streets is Bad song, and I Done Did That, You Don't Wanna Be Me song, and make it all sorts of honest and cool in a way that is really like, the streets are bad, I've done did that, and I'm barely able to escape, but I got this rap shit now, and all I've seen is how many people pissed away their basketball or their acting or their this or their that for the streets because they were impatient.
For some fast money.
And I was like, damn. It is, in my opinion, the strongest song on this album. Yeah. I'm going to say it now. There's no song that has more power than Street Struck.
It's a really strong, hard message. Like, he wants you to stay in school. Focus on your shit. Like, don't fall for, like, you know, attempts like of fast money and like selling drugs and like stuff like that. Like, he's been there, he's done that. He knows the peer pressure the teenagers have to go through.
If you have to do it, already start planning your escape plan. Get some savings or capital. Don't just waste all your money and don't get stuck there, because if you do it,
You're pretty much screwed.
Well, he
it's a
basically
bullet
says,
or jail.
listen to him, or you're going to die.
Or go to jail.
Or
which
go to
is
jail.
kinda like
It's
dying.
a really deep song in terms of how he wrote it. I like how he isn't afraid to explain that he's doing it as well. That he's
But that he's
looking-
struggling with it. No, what he's
He
saying is
said
that he struggles with
since
it.
he's been rapping, he's given up the street
Right.
life. But the
Right.
street
It
life
calls
is
him.
calling
I
like the crackhead from New Jack City.
I made a mistake. I didn't meant to say what he's currently doing. I was just saying like he's been through that. He's done certain things and he's not afraid to look at the kids and be like, look, this is what will happen. This is what could happen. I
And
like the
then-
realness of
And
it.
like,
Yeah.
he gets it. He's like, look,
practicing what he
I
preaches.
understand
Right.
it, how addictive this life is, but you can't do it for. I mean, I love the fact that Big L values intelligence and education.
Yeah.
And again,
Mm-hmm.
there's like in No Ends, No Skins, I'm convinced he wants a girl into him for his intelligence. He really values this, and it is true that intelligence and education is the difference between being stuck in a trap of whatever trap you're stuck in. It's a pretty loose term these days. And success, an actual success, and actually building your own shit.
And like when you get success, like when you, and like even if it's just like success in terms of like you gain money by like selling crack or whatever, like don't just like spend it on stupid shit. He even says like
Invest.
he's like invest in things, you know, like use it wisely, like save your fucking money,
Like
do something
Jay-Z
good with
said
it.
on 444, if I had bought,
bought-
or not that song, but the
If he
story
had
of
bought that
OJ,
building under Dumbo.
and then he would, he feels like a Dumbo because of the money he didn't make. Anyway,
But anyway,
this song is a clear 5.
I also gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yep.
This is a really good song with a great message, especially like for
right
people.
after the danger zone.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
it's
The
really
placing
cool
of the
placing.
album, the placing was really awesome. The song is a 5 on 5.
The Graveyard.
The Graveyard.
It ain't shit you can tell me, because bitches still tell me without a motherfucking LP.
So this is kind of like 8 is Enough, but they decided to go with less guys
Shorter version.
and bring in Jigga back before Jay-Z was anything.
You know,
And this did come out before Reasonable Doubt, so it's the very beginning of Jay-Z.
it was
Yeah.
very interesting
Not
to
the
see
first verse. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the very beginning of him. And then a bunch of guys I've never heard of.
Microphone Nut, Granddaddy IU.
Party Arty, and Lord Finesse, who's pumped off a whole bunch of beats. So him I've heard of.
Yeah.
And it was very similar. I think Big L starts us off again and
Yep.
raps a verse that I found to be less impressive than his one on 8 is Enough. I was a little bit like, it was good. It was another style, but he was not my favorite part of this song, for real.
Mm.
And then, I don't remember who came next.
It
This
was
one.
Lord Finesse was next, and he was talking about how he's not a role model and how he's too badass.
But he is also the like kind of hard to hit pop at the time, and he's involved with everything great. And then
Verse 3, we've got Microphone Nut, and
And
I
it
thought
was-
he was really good.
Yeah,
and then
he was good.
And then I was a little bit confused. Like, did he tell a story about when he escaped from prison, or like what was happening there? I wasn't really sure.
it was just kind of long and convoluted, but it was talented, long and convoluted.
Yeah, he was good. I'm telling you. Next up,
She's telling you.
the next up verse we had the wee Jay-Z. He was so young sounding in this one.
It was interesting, right? Because apparently at that time Jay-Z was into the fast tricky shit. And it
Yes,
really
I was
shows.
impressed. I
And
was
it's
like,
when
hey,
you listen
okay.
to Jay-Z now and
Yeah.
you realize he started there and he chose to slow down. Sounds like some conversations a few of us have had about rapping and just what's good music and not behind the scenes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting just to see that this guy went from, the tricky fast shit and blah, blah, blah. And now he's, I don't know, $860 million richer
But
and
like,
shit.
okay, hold on.
But he talks about being badass and how all
like,
the ladies
yeah,
love
of
him. I
course.
mean, and of course, he ended up with like fucking Beyonce. So
I don't know if all the ladies really loved him back then, from what I've heard. But yes, I think that he's done quite well for himself
Yeah, no
after
kidding.
this moment. So it's definitely interesting to
Congratulations
hear.
on being a father twice over again.
Yes, twins are now out there. The mother has confirmed it, from what I understand.
Well,
It's a
they've,
real
photo
thing.
they've
went up.
had the kids for a month now.
Just
photos
saying.
up.
Anyway, that's not really what this song's about. This song's about how they go and body motherfuckers and put them in the graveyard.
Yep.
Who's after the Jigga Man himself?
We've got verse 5 was Party Arty of Ghetto Dwellers.
Which was a pretty solid verse.
He sounded very like throaty. He sounded like this. Like
it was
kind
a good
of
contrast to Jay-Z's kind of Jay-Z-ness.
A little bit high toned.
And then the last verse we had Granddaddy IU, and like he was just kind of like, if you fuck with him, you die.
Point blank.
Yeah.
I gave this one a 4.5 on 5.
Nice.
I really enjoyed the experience. I thought it was a little more fun than 8 is enough because you could focus a little more on each person. It was just a fucking mind trip. I listened to Jay-Z's verse like 4 times because it was just so fun. I could picture him as a kid.
He really sounds young. Like, I'm not kidding when I say it was like wee Jay-Z.
And overall, pretty solid jam. A little disappointed with Big L's verse, believe it or not, but otherwise everyone else I was cool with, so 4.5.
Nice. For me, this was just like another like crew song. I thought it was all right. I gave it a 3.5.
Nice. I actually gave this a 4.5 on 5. It was a really good song. I wasn't impressed with Big L's verse, but there was something in the beat. I think it's like a drum loop that just went on for a little bit too much for me, and I was like, okay, this is, by the end, I was like, this is annoying. Like, I just couldn't get past it, and but I was able to like listen to the songs and like really delve into what they were saying and what they wanted to present. But in terms of just the beat, I was just like, this bothers me. But overall, it's still a really great track. It's still something that I think everybody should listen to. 4.5 on 5.
All right.
So lifestyles are the poor and the dangerous.
Me making about $120 a week. Man, I rap or do.
It wouldn't be a mid-90s gangsterish rap album without a arbitrary story song with no chorus that just shows some dangerous ass shit going down.
And is the title track.
And Big L does it so well. And he talks about this park and how you're gonna get robbed if you go in this park.
Yep.
And how everybody in this city knows what's up, and they've all come from this place where they have to live like this. And if you come around, you're basically gonna get robbed.
Unless
how he
you know
killed his
somebody.
friend that he used to partner with because
He's like
just,
wild and dangerous.
He's just got to do it because, you know, he wants to be rich enough to get the girls.
Oh yeah, because like he had this friend named Chuck or whatever, and
who
like
is
then
dead now because he wanted double the loot. So give me the loot was his mantra.
and like it was like his partner in crime, he called him, and then like he
Bye
won
bye.
with like dominoes or whatever, and or dice or whatever the heck they were playing, and then and then so he wanted all his money, so he killed him. And I'm like, it
Just
was
goes
his
to show
buddy.
how like money really takes is a really big influence on certain decisions.
So it's all about Endz, not
And
Skinz.
like at the same time, it is a poor and dangerous lifestyle. Like to be able to even cap your friend because you want double the loot is just beyond mind-boggling.
I mean, it's not that mind-boggling at all. I mean, it's essentially...
You do what you have to do to get by.
Right. Like,
It's
I understand
more than
that,
that.
but
It's
to cap
like
your
climb
own
to the
friend,
top.
like...
You absolutely, if you want to succeed in life, need to be willing to cap your own friend to get ahead in life. It's a common theme amongst, you know, a lot of things. I don't find it mind-boggling. I think it's Big L saying, look, I will do what I need to do.
But he
get
knows
that
that
money.
he's like a motherfucker.
And
Like
he knows,
he says that.
like he says, like he's scummy. He knows that the tactics he's choosing are really bad. But what's the difference between killing your friend and cutting your friend out of your life, really? I think he's being extremely allegorical with it, but it's again a warning that if you cross me or if it's advantageous to me, I will step on you to get to where I need to be in life. And there's a lot of people who are doing that, and he's a product of his environment, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody around him has to go through this, so you honestly have to be the best at this. This song was great storytelling. I enjoyed going on Big L's little cruise of danger describing the situation. 4.5.
Yeah,
Real.
I also give it a 4.5. For me, like the best part of the whole song and like what made me give it like that little bit of an extra of a mark was the fact that at the very, very end, the last line is, now what kind of life is that for a child? And like he's describing like what he knows and like what he's done and like the kind of shit that he knows he's, you know, the decisions he has to make. And it's like, this is what we're allowing in our communities, and like nobody's doing anything about it, and like this just keeps happening, and it's going to happen to our children, you know, and it's going to just keep happening unless somebody fixes it. And so although it's like a really like hard, badass kind of like fucked up song to start with, it ends with such a good message. So I give it a 4.5.
Right.
Solid jam.
I gave it a 4 on 5, solely just because, again, I just won't bump it. as quite often.
Because Chris can't rap along. It's all the vicious shit that Big L's
Maybe
doing.
that's it. But
Because if all of a sudden on the harsh buses of the Société Transport de Montréal, if Chris was to rap about raping bitches and shit, he might have some funny looks thrown at him.
I'm pretty sure he would. And
I'd probably get kicked off and, a bunch of other shit. But all in all, it's not just about that. It's also, I like the song, I like the story, I like the message, I like the representation. Just, I feel, I'm starting to feel a little bit repetitive, just in terms of content. But other than that, like, it's a solid track. Like, none of these tracks on this album
like
are bad.
the first of its kind on this album.
I know.
This is possibly the only song he goes into specifics that I've seen thus far of the kinds of crimes he was exposed to.
I know. And I agree with that. Content was the wrong word. Genre is what I'm more or less.
Rap
it was
music?
Just, not rap music.
Chris.
Just the way. It's like the story is a story, yes. But to me, listening to this album, it's like, okay, I've heard like throughout the entire album already.
What have you heard on this throughout
just
the
the
entire...
violence, the stabbing, the killing, the robbing, like what we're gonna do.
So as
like,
I was saying, is a lot of what he's presented on this album actually doesn't appear anywhere else on the album. He says a lot of ambiguous shit like, I'll kill you if you come near me. Here he's talking about very specific crime-related things. This is kind of like what she was saying, a sociological look.
Okay.
More on par with, I don't know, maybe Danger Zone? Maybe?
Okay.
And, like, one last thing, the interesting thing that I also noticed about this song and, like, maybe its placement on the album was that it starts off with, like, hi, my name is Big L. And, like, so, like, I thought maybe that could have been a little bit more towards the beginning of the album. But that was, like, one of my only other, like, critiques about this.
I thought it was like a story. Like, he's telling, instead of creating a character that's going through, he's saying, I'm the character who
But
went
maybe
through
he's,
it.
like, giving this talk at, like, high schools or something.
Maybe.
You know? Hi, my name is Big L. Let me tell you about all the shit I've
is-
done and why you shouldn't do it.
Sometimes
I just
I just don't understand it, Chris. I really don't.
Going on, I don't understand, man. How raps code transform. 1 minute your heart.
So here,
He's just bitching about people for most of it.
the fake rappers taking over the industry. The part where the entire corporation is that dudes with sick beats and no talents are selling records, diluting his craft, meaning that lyrical hip hop dudes who are skilled, who should be getting that spot, are not, over whack motherfuckers writing trends and shit.
Really relevant for today.
Yeah.
It's the true. And
It's what it is.
But it won't last because, like, people will soon catch on to realize that you're
He
fake
was
and
wrong.
not talented.
He was wrong.
He was wrong.
I mean,
Unfortunately.
to be fair, he's right in the
If you're
sense
rich,
that
you can buy
a lot
talent,
of these
apparently.
guys do turn into one-hit wonders and shit, and so maybe he's not completely wrong.
But the style itself and the technique and the skill is going to still be followed so far.
And I mean, it was almost prophetic in the sense of he saw where the industry was going, and now the industry is kind of there. And I get it. It's just that so many guys who aren't learning the craft of hip-hop, who aren't studying the art of storytelling and going into how to create these nuanced albums of creating this type of experience. So, to be able to differentiate between just how to tell the same story 19 times on an album and shit, and actually have real bars to back it up, to have lines that represent ideas versus just, a guy like Puff Daddy is kind of, I think, one of those dudes who he's taking shots at. Like, that era, maybe not Puff Daddy
Yeah, that's
then.
what I was wondering, like, who specifically,
Because I don't know the who,
he was, like,
but
writing
like,
about.
I know 4 years later, a guy like Puff Daddy would have been the recipient of those jabs.
Right.
Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. Well, anyways, I don't know. This song was okay. It was, I mean, it is what it is. Like, he was just talking about, like, how, like, he doesn't think that these people should go, platinum, and that, like, they're not really that good. And, like, and then, like, now you're bitching about, like, oh, like, well, I turned pop, and, like, now I'm doing, like, this other stuff that isn't really what I wanted to do. And he's like, well, whose fault is that? It's your own fault. Like, like, you should have stuck with what you love and what you're supposed to be true to, which is rap. And then he's just, like, critical of all these
Study
people
the craft, yo.
who yeah, so he's just going on about that. So I thought it was a catchy enough song. I gave it a 4 on 5.
Same. It was not the best one on the... I think it was a very on-point song for what it's doing, but there was less for me to come back to here. It wasn't dense. It wasn't deep. He doesn't even cuss. It was just a flat out
You don't have to cuss
whining.
to be dense and deep.
No, but I mean, like every other song's been vicious as fuck. This
Right.
has like just to
Right.
have songs where he doesn't swear is like, man,
You
this
see-
guy's versatile. But frankly, I find it like I like the fact that at this time this song is really great. But now I've heard so many songs that are this song that it's hard for me to really like it as much. So
That's true.
It's a 4.
Fair enough. I actually really like the fact that he didn't swear and that he took it in a different angle instead of being so vicious. For me, it was more like a serious note. Yes, he had the flow. Yes, he was on point. Yes, he had the rhymes and the lyrics. But it felt more like he was just kind of acknowledging, like, look, garbage rappers are starting to fucking pop off. Like, we need to change this. You know, I actually really liked the song. I gave it a 5 on 5. It kept me captivated. It kept me locked in the whole entire time. I mean, as I'm listening to it, I'm looking at the music we listen to now, and I'm like, well, if he was still alive,
You listen to now.
even
Don't
okay,
call
fine,
us-
even me,
you don't
fine.
group us
Apparently,
with-
he's taking it too.
we don't all sit here bumping Bad and Bougie on the regular.
I
That's
don't
all I'm
bump
trying
Bad
to
and
say.
Bougie anymore. You need to catch up on my playlist.
No, you're just describing
need to
your
catch up on my
experiences.
playlist.
I am fed up with your bullshit.
was okay for the life he ended. He got suspended with no pay. But if a man would have
How did you feel about it?
Well, this is like sort of like in a way like his version of like fuck the police. And like so he's just talking about like how he's fed up of like how all the cops are getting away with like killing black people and like people in his communities and like, you know, in New York in general, I guess, and like especially like black teens, like these are like innocent kids and like they shouldn't have to be, well, not maybe all necessarily innocent, but like they shouldn't have to live in that fear that like cops who are supposed to be taking care of them are going to kill them.
He
And
goes
like
as far as to say that they get frisked daily, not even bi-weekly.
yeah, and like he hates the whole system, and like that's why like I think that he's also mentioned that he's killed so many cops. You know, like maybe he's just sick of them. He's just kind of retaliating with like what they do, and like he hates people who don't stand up for them, and like who sees these acts like taking place and like these crimes that the police officers are committing, and how nobody's like standing up for them, and like how he once like killed someone for not standing up when they saw something that was happening.
What?
Like that was like something they talked about. Like he said he was fed up, and then that he ran after somebody.
Like the
and
taxi driver who didn't stop?
yeah,
See, I took that differently.
because for me, like it was
That
he was the witness to
a
something.
taxi driver who didn't stop for him. Like he just flipped in the middle and stopped talking about cops and started talking about how taxi drivers are racist as fuck and they don't stop for them. They'll slow down. They'll see a black person and they'll like go away. And he just flipped it completely different, and it was really like a
Oh,
meta
maybe I
thing,
missed it
right?
then. Sorry.
Okay, so what he's describing here is how this isn't just police.
It's like
It's
everybody.
everybody who has
It's
the
daily
opportunity to
racism.
be racist against my community is taking that advantage. But he only has the power to go back and kill that taxi driver because he did his shit. So he's saying, this motherfucker didn't stop me because I'm black, so I killed him. Versus the cops, where he describes the problem with them is they've already got 38s and now they're getting 9s and they have all these guns and they're able to kill us and put us in coffins and shit. And that's fucked up. But at least I can get my revenge on this guy. And it almost
And like
seems
he also
like,
says like that the whole because justice means just us white kids,
yes.
and so like he's fed up of that shit too. Like he's fed up of like
And
just
the
because
taxi
of the
drivers
color
pick
of
up
their
white
skin.
people,
That's
right?
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I get your
It's
point.
really
I know
real.
I missed it.
So to me, this was a 4.5 on 5. Like, again, at this point, like the beats to me is really the make or break. The production's not as great, but the story, the message, the rhyming is still sick, and I like it when he's a little less evil and a little more serious like this. And the fact that he goes from this song that has no swearing to "Fed Up with Your Bullshit," where it's in the title of the song, and it just makes it so extreme. It goes from this goofy song about how rap is selling out in general to this hyper political song about shit nobody wants to talk about.
Well,
I
that's
respect
actually
that.
really cool because if you think about it, he's like, look, we have all these garbage rappers coming up, and this is something I thought about when I'm reviewing it. The previous song, he's bitching about garbage rappers and how they're coming up, and then he comes back and he's proving to you why we need lyrical rappers to speak about the problems that are happening,
It's
to
true.
bring upon, like, to bring a light on
Change.
what's going on, to bring upon the change as well, yeah. It was really awesome. I gave the song a 5 on 5 just for the reality of it and the realness of it. It was really, really deep, really, really straightforward. and not too vicious, but again, still Big L's got
He's
his
like slaughtering cops and shit, bro.
I know, but I feel like it's the realness of it. Like he really brings you to that scenario to like make you feel like, you know, they're like you're.
He's very honest and like he's good at like describing like the scenarios that he's in. And
I think it was the part where he draws the parallel between the cops and the taxi drivers that really takes this song to a level that makes it different than everything else.
Okay.
It's not just anti-aggression; it's racism is real across all boundaries.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And here's a couple of examples: police and taxi drivers.
I also gave it a 5 on 5. I thought this song was like great. I mean, it tells like a crazy message about like what's going on, and I think it was really honest and like raw and like gritty again. So I thought it was cool.
All right. Well, I guess you know what they like to say up in these parts. Let them have it, B.
When a battle comes up, give me 2 thumbs up. Setting it off, letting it off.
Oh, this is just Put It On B-side.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, it's not a bad song by any means. It, in fact, is a good way, I think, to end the album. It's kind of like you've gone through this whole trip, but remind him that you're still a hype-ass person. Give him something kind of fun. Give him something like that. And then it turned into the B-side of Put It On.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot to add to it. It's a really good song, and I give it a 4 because it's just good. It's not great. After everything here that we've gone through, it's just not remarkable. It's just good.
Yeah. I mean, he talks about like how he's just like how he's serious and like, but like, can you blame him? Because I mean, like he's been through like all this crazy shit. Like if that's what he's actually talking about. And like it's just sort of like a general badass kind of a song. And there was one line that I thought was funny that he said his raps are hotter than the Bahamas. And then someone in the Genius like description of what that line meant wrote in cap locks, "That's hot as fuck." And so I just thought that was funny. It made me laugh like when I was like reading along. And then it's just like him like bragging and like everyone chanting along and like how great he is at rapping and that he can kill anyone with his rhymes, and like it had this creepy beat a little bit behind it. Anyways, it was good. It was 3.5.
Nice. I gave it a 4 on 5. It's just Put It On, but a B-side. I agree with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot to this one.
That's the thing.
It's like, at least from like honestly, I don't know that I would really care to play this song through to the end if I was listening to this album. I might just stop it at Fed Up With This Bullshit personally. I mean, that's a strange place to end the album, and I get why maybe a lighter note is there, but this song didn't. I mean, it's just really, we just went through all this intense shit, and this is how you're ending it? Kind of lukewarm, dude.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going back now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was good. I mean, you might perceive that as a bit of a hater move, but
It's not a bad song.
just keep in mind that a bad Big L verse is probably better than most great rappers. So
That's
these
fair.
guys like next level. So yeah, album. Did we all talk about this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did y'all think of the album?
I think overall the album was actually really cool, really interesting, really inspiring. I like how Big L can flip between the quickness and the slowness throughout the different verses, throughout the different flows. I like his control on emotions and how he presents his stories. Overall, the album got a 4.5 on 5 for me.
Wow. I mean, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. It was very gritty and raw. My overall rating was a 4.08, giving it like an 81-ish, 82%, which I was kind of surprised about, but it made it to the classic list. And I think Big L, if you're up there or down there or wherever you're at in your, afterlife, I think he'd be happy about that. So, yeah.
I gave it a 4.46. I thought it was a clearly great album. There are some, it's like, the only issues I have with it are the parts where political correctness have made some of this stuff a little less okay to listen to now.
Yes.
But for 95, it's amazing. I really wish Big L had not been shot down on that street corner and that he was still with us today.
They're actually releasing, or like sometime like this year, I saw that they were going to be having
his posthumous.
I know a documentary is made about him. It's going to be called Street Struck, and it's the story of Big L. So
I would like to watch that.
Nice.
yeah, we should definitely check that out if it's not already out.
And so this has been a good episode. I'm tired.
We overall enjoyed this.
Yeah.
It's Sunday, a strange day for Big L in general.
Yeah.
And if you liked the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what albums you care about, who your favorites are, what songs you liked, what you didn't like, what you thought about our review. We like to talk to you too. We look at all the comments. Share it with your boys.
A lot of the time we're all together and like he's like, hey, this person said this. This is what's going on. Someone wrote this.
Keep in mind that we'll get to all your requests one day, and you are helping us get closer to getting more of these out weekly for you. And that's the dream. So just get more of them as we all learn and grow and love hip hop together. So
that's the mission.
Yep.
Peace and have a great week.
Take
whenever
care, guys.
day this comes out. Peace.
Bye.